I wanted to take a break from our state machine to sort of use our test script to introduce something else that we're going to be doing in a little bit called a coroutine. And I wanted to review interfaces just to make sure that we have it on even a smaller level. Okay? So what I have in my scene is a cube and my main camera. Just uncheck the little check mark box here next to C# so that we're no longer utilizing that script. And go ahead and grab your test script that we created earlier and drag it on top of the cube. And let's open that up. So let's start with just reviewing interfaces. So what we'll start off doing is by writing the word interface, letting Unity know that we're creating an interface here. And again, you can kind of give any, you can pretty much come up with any name you want. You just want to make sure you put an I here. And I'm just going to call mine I and then interface. Then an open and close curly brace. Now, again, what you put inside of an interface is just a series of methods. You can't declare variables in here or anything like that. They really are just for variable declaration. So you can put in here void health. Now, if you want to inherit from interface, another way of doing it, last time we deleted the mono behavior, but say you have to keep this class, we can just simply write comma interface, and now this class can utilize our interface here. So if you remember from the last tutorial, we would get an error because we're not actually utilizing it. So if I jump back in to C# here, you'll notice test does not implement interface member health. Okay, so let's jump back into here and let's take a look at implementing that again. So let's go ahead and do that. But what I want to point out too is this. If we're saying that we're going to derive information from this, when you look online it says things like this is a contract, an interface is a contract. Well, what it means by that is if you make a contract with somebody, you must abide by everything within that contract or you'll have problems. With us, our problems will be errors. So if we have a, if our interface, we're declaring a method in there, we have to actually come in here and create that method. Let's make this public. We'll just leave it for now as void health. Okay. Then we save that. Let's jump back into Unity. And let's make sure that it's public. That should get rid of the error. There we go. And it actually told us explicitly in there. That's how I knew that it had to be public, that it needs to be a public variable. So now we have an interface, an element, and so we're sort of using this as one of our, we've declared our method here. And so our interface, again, is going to be a combination of like methods. So say this interface, we would do iHealth, has methods that control every aspect of health, like say how your character is affected by grenades and stuff like that. So something else that's interesting that we can do is we can actually declare parameters from our method here into our interface. So say in here we have a integer string. We have this integer and string value, so we can call this name, or I'm sorry, we can call this ID, and this string we can call it name. Now if I hit Control S and I play this, we'd get an error because, again, remember this is a contract, and within this we have to actually copy that exactly. So I'm just going to copy these two here, and now I can pass these two parameters into my interface. So if I save that off, we can take a look at what Unity has to say. Good, we get no errors. Now let's take a look at coroutines. Now what a coroutine does is it controls how we look at time, over a certain period of frames or seconds. Okay, so that was sort of our review on interfaces. So let's delete this and let's take a look at coroutines. Now, like I said before, coroutines can be used for controlling time. So say, and the way that you identify coroutine is by writing I enumerator. And so say we have an enumerator called go, open curly brace, close curly brace. And say we want to start this coroutine over a certain number of seconds. Well, let's type in int. We're just going to bring in, or we'll do a float here. That way we have the decimal value called wait. I'm going to save that. And then in my start method, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start my coroutine here. And what it'll do is we can specify the number of seconds or how much time. So for example, say we want an animation to play after 3 seconds of a character being hit, or after his health reaches a specific time. And we're actually going to be implementing those when we get into more of the game programming stuff. So this is as simple as start coroutine. And coroutine is a method. And then I'm going to call this go. And a float is a decimal value. So I have to write F5, and then it's different than JavaScript if you're used to that, where you have to actually specify the F here. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Control S. In here, let's give it something to do. So let's do our debug.log. And let's print out to the screen, hello from Go enumerator. Save that. Actually, let's add time.time. And what that'll do is tell us our current time. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Control S, and I'm going to save that. Let's jump back to Unity. Let's make sure that we don't have our interface still in there. Yeah, let's delete that because we don't need that any longer. Let's save that. Get rid of it. Not all code paths return a value. Okay, so we actually have to return something. So we're going to type return, because we have an actual value in here that we have to send back, and we didn't write void here. So we have to return something. So I'm going to return 5 semicolon. I'll save that off. Actually, this would be a good time to show you the yield function. So if I type yield here, and then I type the value 5, what it'll actually do is it'll yield for a certain period of a certain bench of time. So we want to actually put our yield in front of our return. There we go. So we're going to yield return for 5, and then all I'm going to do is copy this again, and I'm just going to write hello from second enumerator statement. Space this out, and I'm going to hit Control S. So what we get is, when we call our coroutine, it's going to call this, and it's going to play this first one. So we should get 0 because it's going to start right away, and then we're going to yield for 5, and so we'll get something around 5 seconds. It's not perfect, but it's actually going to just spit out the current time since the last one. So let's save this. And there we go. That seems to work. So let's press play and see what it gives us. So you say hello from Go enumerator. So it started right away and it was 0. And then hello from second enumerator and it was 0.02. Now there are ways to do it in actual time, which is time.delta time. And we'll talk about that in another tutorial. Actually, so let's take a look at actually implementing time. Okay, so let's go yield return. And let's do something called wait for seconds. And within this, we're going to pass wait. And because we're working with we're instantiating time here, you want to make sure that you put new there. Now let's save that and see if that gives us any errors. Okay, so let's press play and see what it gives us. And there we go. Notice that it waited for almost a complete 5 seconds. Let's watch that one more time. So I'm going to press play, and there we go. You can see hello from Go enumerator. That was 0. And then after 5 seconds, you can see hello from second enumerator statement, and it printed out the time, which was 5 seconds. So wait for time actually implements, it goes around 5 seconds. You can see it was 5.02